You're in the CPR Performance Studio from OpenAir 102.3 FM. I'm Aaron Loki Johnson, and I'm joined in the studio today by Diane Coffey. Sean Fleming is the mastermind behind Diane Coffey. Fleming is a former Disney voice actor and started his music career as the drummer for childhood friends Foxygen. Fleming debuted his solo project Diane Coffey in 2013 with My Friend Fish, an album he wrote in 2 weeks and recorded partially on an iPhone while living in New York City. His new music has a collaborative and theatrical nature that can be seen in the band's recent Tiny Desk concert for NPR or on stage last fall when he performed for Denver fans at Ogden Theater. He's back tonight playing live at Lost Lake in Denver. Hello and welcome.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Great to have you here. Welcome back to Denver. I think we should just start out with a song. Let's launch right into one. Go ahead and give us an introduction and any backstory if you've got one.
Great. This one's called Not That Easy, and it's about kind of about anyone who's touring on the road and leaving someone behind.
Body's a shame. Weight of the game has easily pinned you as fast as you blame. And I know it's my life only. It's my life. You're my girl. Just wouldn't dare to change my world. Well, it's not that
Not That Easy, music from Diane Coffey in the CPR Performance Studio. Open Air listeners voted your last record, Everybody's a Good Dog, number 31 on the best albums of 2015 for the blend of rock, soul, and classic psych influences. Would you say that's where this is coming from?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the stuff that I grew up with, all my dad's music.
Well, the title of the album, Everybody's a Good Dog, has a family story behind it, I believe. Can you tell me about how you arrived at that?
Yeah, that's actually something that my dad would say is one of his like surf-wise sayings. We have my family likes to adopt a lot of animals, and so
How many are we talking about?
I mean, there at any given time there's at least 4 or 5 animals running around, especially a lot of dogs, and they're usually pretty aggressive and crazy when they first get back home. So every time he walks through the door, he gets slammed by, a wall of fur. And every time he comes in, we would sort of know that he was home by him yelling, "Everybody's a good dog. Everybody's a good, all right, yes." So,
So it's kind of it's all good kind of.
yeah. It's everybody's a good dog, man. Hang out, relax.
What does that mean to be a good dog? And is everybody a good dog?
Everyone should be a good dog. I mean, it was just Valentine's Day, so I mean, it's the day of love, man, the day of caring.
So your first album you wrote in a couple of weeks. Some of it was recorded on an iPhone, but this was a very different project, a little more purposeful, spent some time in the studio and really put more of a collaboration together. Talk about that process.
Well, this is sort of, Everybody's a Good Dog was sort of the album that I always imagined I would make as my first record. That first record was just a series of kind of demos, and anyone who plays and records music, whether professionally or just in their spare time, will tell you whenever they do have free time, all they want to do is just record. So I had a couple weeks off, recorded a bunch of songs. Those ended up in the hands of Western Vinyl, and that came out as a collection, the first record. But this one, going into it, I actually knew ahead of time that I was putting out a record, and I wanted to take my time and to create a really lush soundscape and to work with as many friends as I possibly could.
So your life has been fairly bi-coastal. I mean, you just did that great impersonation of your surfer dude dad. You grew up in California.
That's right.
Lived for a time in New York. Whatever possessed you to move to Bloomington, Indiana and put this band together?
Well, the label Secretly Canadian, the Secretly Canadian group, they're based out of Bloomington, Indiana. And that is, Foxygen is affiliated with Jaguar, part of the Secretly group. So that's how I first discovered Bloomington. And we had a couple weeks there while we were recording some Star Power demos, and I got to meet a lot of people, and I spent a good amount of time out there. And I was coming from New York, and I was really kind of depressed living there. I didn't like living in a big city. It just wasn't for me. And Bloomington felt a lot kind of like my hometown in Agora. So I took to it, like a duck to water. And as soon as I found a place to stay, I quickly moved out and came down. And the producer for Everybody's a Good Dog is living in Bloomington as well. And he was our sound engineer for Foxygen. And he sort of introduced me to all of the musicians that you see before you in this room.
So that's Caleb, Glenn, Ben, and Drake. How quickly did that all come together?
Really quickly. I mean, I had met Glenn and Drake a few times, but Tim Smiley sort of kind of cultivated this band. I mean, he put the word out, we were still recording, and I wanted to get some more people to play some bass on a few tracks, and this guy Glenn Myers, he's a fantastic bass player, and he came over and laid it down super quick, and then I met, and then, as soon as that came out, I needed to put a new Bloomington band together, and he was like, well, Drake plays guitar, and Ben is a seriously amazing drummer, and then Ben knew Caleb. I don't remember who tossed Caleb's name out first, but someone said, well, we know Caleb, Ben and Caleb played in Nightbeds together.
Okay.
So there was that connection, and he actually lives in Nashville. So he's the odd man out. Yep. And we give him a hard time, but he's an all right guy.
Sounds like you walked into a bit of an already intact scene.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what Bloomington is. It's like a super awesome, I mean, it's small town vibes. Everyone knows each other, and because that town is so musical, everyone likes to just play on everyone else's stuff, and it just made it really easy.
This is Diane Coffey in the CPR Performance Studio. You've got a super tight and soulful band. Let's hear another song. What's this one?
This one's called You're Mine, and this one is not on any of the records.
A little story about this?
Well, this one I wrote for Polyvinyl. They had a 4-track series, and they would send one of those little Tascam 4-track cassette tape recorders to 12 different artists, and they would record 2 tracks and then send it to the next artist, and that little 7-inch would come out once a month. So that's the only way it was released in any capacity. So if you didn't sign up for their 4-track series, you're never going to hear this. So
Except here in the open air.
And now we're just going to release it to the public.
Diane Coffey on OpenAir 102.3 FM in the CPR Performance Studio.
I don't want to go outside. I hide away into my bed, along with the things in my head. Just let me be. I'm not awake or asleep. All I dream is you. And are you better that way too? Let's open our mind to you left behind. Don't like it or not, you're mine. I don't wanna lose my mind. She loves me, she loves me not. My yard's out of flowers again. It's not like you said. I'm not alive, not quite dead. All I want is you. Oh, don't you want me to? Let's open our mind to you left behind. Don't like it or not, you're mine. Let's open our mind to you left behind. Don't like it or not, you're mine.
Diane Coffey in the CPR Performance Studio on OpenAir 102.3 FM. Sounds great. I saw your show at the Ogden Theater last fall with Of Montreal, and it was a total scream. I mean, you had a ton of exuberant energy. You're not just going up there in dirty T-shirts and phoning it in. You really put on a show, not just great musicianship, but a lot of energy. You're really performing the songs, and I appreciate that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, let me ask you about this alter ego, and let's talk about gender. How did you arrive at Diane Coffee? And is anyone ever surprised when a fellow named Diane shows up at the venue?
Well, the name comes from Diana Ross and a song called Mr. Coffee by a man named Nathan Pelkey, who was a singer-songwriter, and he kind of fell off the scene, and I don't really know much else or can find anything other than this small EP, but it's fascinating, and if anyone can get a hold of it, it's a great listen. Yeah, I mean, people, I hear that all the time. People think like, oh, I thought it was going to be a lounge singer coming in here. There's some female lounge singer, some lounge act, because I guess coffee makes people think of lounge music.
Who knew?
Who knew? But no, I mean, I don't really know if I'd go as far as saying Diane Coffee is like an alter ego. It's definitely myself. It's just an exaggerated piece of myself. It's that performer that's in everyone. It's that person that you become when you're maybe at a show when you're singing at full voice because everyone around you is singing. It's that energy, that voodoo, that feeling that you get. And Diane Coffee is just sort of the name that I gave to it.
All right. Well, it's no secret that, Mick Jagger channeled Tina Turner and stole some dance moves. So are you channeling a little bit of Diana Ross? Or are there other soul singers that are influencing you?
Oh, there's so many. I've got so many influences. Actually, kind of as of late, I've been turned on to a lot of kind of folk and country. Patsy Cline, been listening to a lot of that lately. And David Wilcox is another great folk artist. Soul stuff. Like Sam Cooke is like a huge influence. People like Joe Cocker, who just had like such a huge voice and such a huge stage presence. I really like big showmanship. And, Bowie was like a huge influence, and Meatloaf and any of those like big, huge. I listened to, when I was recording the record, when I was writing the record, I was listening to a lot of like Rocky Horror Picture Show and Hedwig and the Angry Inch. Anything with a lot of showmanship, I'm really drawn to.
I got it. It's all coming through there. And your voice, you have this ability to go from a very beautiful, high, almost feminine sound to something very, very intense and masculine. And so are you intentionally playing with those gender archetypes? I know you're talking about Bowie, Hedwig, Rocky Horror. Is that an intentional part of Diane Coffee?
I don't know if it, just as far as like the kind of like the vocal arrangements is playing into gender at all. I think I just like playing with the human voice. It was my first instrument, and it's, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. I maybe it comes from that sort of voice acting background of mine, just liking to kind of put on as many different voices as I possibly can.
You were Jim Possible from the show Kim Possible.
Yeah, and Tim Possible.
The
Jim and Tim twins.
So you have that range and that vocal control as an actor.
Yeah, well, I just like to play. I like to just play around and play with it, and that kind of stuff I like to listen to. People like Tom Waits, who have several different voices. Even like Bob Dylan, he had a couple different voices that he played with. That kind of stuff it keeps it fresh, for me at least.
Well, another thing that I notice you play with is the stage show. What can people expect to see as far as visuals at the show tonight, or what can they expect to see as far as costumes? And also, where do these costumes come from? Do you have a stylist?
I do. I do. My partner Melinda Danielson is my stylist and costume designer. You'll see some of her work there tonight. And we've got our buddy Kevin came along with us, and he's going to be running a pretty awesome light show. And you're going to see a whole lot of love, a whole lot of passion, and a whole lot of moving and grooving.
Excellent. Before we get into one more song, I'd like to ask you about your other projects. I know you've played with Foxygen. Does that ever cause conflicts with touring with Diane Coffee? And also, you recently joined Killer Mike from Run the Jewels. What was that like?
Well, Killer Mike, I was approached by LP, Jamie, and he told me that he was just a fan of how I layered vocals and created these big kind of harmony wall of sounds, you know. And he told me he had a project that he was working on, and he wanted me to come up to New York to record on it. And I mean, I was excited to just be associated with anything that he touches. I mean, he's been doing stuff for so long, and it's always so great. Him and Killer Mike. And I didn't know I was working on the Run the Jewels 2 record. So, you know, went up there. It was a day's work, and those guys are amazing and super prolific and just some of the nicest and hardest working people in showbiz, and it was a real honor and a pleasure. And then, I mean, as far as Foxygen goes, it hasn't gotten in the way so far. Our tours have kind of, I mean, it's rough for me to end a tour and then go back out and then be done and then go back out on tour. It's a lot of time on the road, hence a lot of songs about being on the road and
And missing your sweet
missing
one.
my sweetheart. Yeah, I mean, they're doing their new record right now, so I've got a lot of time to tour this, and you know, I'm sure at some point we'll have to have a conversation about it, but you know, for right now, it hasn't really affected anything.
Right. What's next for Diane Coffee?
What's next? I've got a lot of big plans for stage shows coming up, and hopefully we can get to that this year. It would take a whole lot of work, and we'd need each and every one of your support and come out and buy a record, and it's going to go to a good cause, that cause being more fun shows and more entertainment for you, the people. This is all about you. This is always all about you. Sorry.
And where can the people go to show their support?
They can either come down to the show tonight and then online to buy a record at westernvinyl.com. Sorry, tonight at Lost Lake Lounge, for those of you listening in. And yeah, those are two great places to show your support.
Well, I'd love to hear another song from you. What have you got for us? Again, this is Diane Coffee on OpenAir 102.3 FM in the CPR Performance Studio.
We're going to play Mayflower, which I came up with after spending a good amount of time at an AT&T store trying to be forced into buying the newest iPhone.
A song about crass commercialization and the impulse and the pressure to buy. That's Mayflower from Diane Coffee in the CPR Performance Studio. Hey, thanks so much for coming in and putting on a show.
Yeah, thanks again for having us.
To find more open air sessions, videos, and podcasts, visit openaircpr.org.